Good morning dear students, welcome to today's last video class of your second PUC syllabus, right? So we are at the last part of the biodiversity and conservation chapter. So till now in this chapter we have been studied what actually the biodiversity, types of biodiversity, and also we have studied regarding the what we call it as the importance of or how actually this biodiversity is get depleted because of the human anthropogenic activities or because of the human intervention. So how we are going to lose our biodiversity? And so with reference to this loss of species from the ecosystem by the act of the human being, so we have seen the Paul Ehrlich concept, that is the rivet pauper hypothesis, isn't it? So next we shall study what actually the importance or the benefits of this biodiversity, right? So whatever we have millions of different type of species, which includes microbes, then plants, then animals, including human being. So among all these organisms, man is dominating the entire ecosystem or entire biosphere, right? So he can himself getting the benefit from the species that are present in the ecosystem. See, let's see in what way the human beings are benefited or the other organisms are benefited from the biodiversity. So mainly as far as we consider the benefits of the biodiversity, we are having mainly two types. One is economical benefits, the other one is ecological benefits. So economical means man will get money from the products of the biodiversity or from the products of the living organisms that are present in the biosphere, right? So economical benefits we have three. One is food, industrial products and medicinal products. See here, so man is getting the food from the plants, from the animals, from the microorganisms. For example, so cereals, pulses, vegetables, so all these are the plant products. So they are produced by the farmer and those products are purchased by the human beings. So in turn, so economically the man will get the benefit. Similarly, so from these croplands we are also getting the other concept, that is the what we call it as fruits also. Then we are also getting the food material from the so many animals, for example fishes, then these chickens, isn't it, goat, right, sheep. So all these are the animals which are reared for their meat and as well as egg. And even the honeybee also, which produce the what we call it as honey, right? And the cow which yield the milk, right? So then microbial products, so we have seen that are used as a source of food. The best microbe which is being used in the what we call it as the yeast, so that is used in producing the alcohol, then that is being used in the dough which is used in the making of idli and dosa. So this is how, so and even the microbes such as spirulina, Glyocapsa, chlorella, all these are the rich in the proteins, vitamins and carbohydrates. So therefore, so whether it may be microorganisms or the plants or the animal products, so upon which the man is dependent for the sake of food material. So under this you can write down a sentence and give some of the examples of plants, animals and microbial food products. Then industrial products. See, in paper industry, we are using this, the bamboo, that is the, what we call it as the eucalyptus, right? So then there is so many timber yielding tree species we are having. Then, so these microbes are used in the industries to get most important industrial products, right? Like lactic acid, then acetic acid, then the ethyl alcohol, so then streptokinin, then the cyclosporin, then penicillin. So there are so many antibiotics are obtained from the microorganisms. So then the plants are also used in the animals are also used in the industries, right? So anyhow, these are the area, so where the plants, animals and as well as microbes are used in the industries in order to get their products in a large scale. Then medicinal products. So we are dependent on the plant, animals and microbial products for the sake of preparation of the drugs. So we might have already studied that the Ayurvedic medicine. So Ayurvedic medicine, which includes the preparation of the drugs by using the plant products, isn't it? And even the microbial products, even the animal products are also used. So this is how, so the plant, animal and as well as microbial products are used in the medicines. So these are the economical benefits of the living organisms that are present in the biosphere. Then as far as the ecological benefits are concerned, see here we have the plants. So plants, they undergo photosynthesis. During the photosynthesis, what happens? So plants will absorb the carbon dioxide and water. They synthesize the food material in presence of the sunlight inside the chloroplast, during which oxygen is produced. So that oxygen which is being produced during photosynthesis as a byproduct, which is most important requirement for all microorganisms, all living beings, including man, right? So if we don't have these autotrophic plants, chlorophyllous plants, so no aerobic organism is found on this biosphere, right? So because of these plants or autotrophic organisms, we are having the photosynthesis, during which oxygen is released as a byproduct or a waste product, which is being used by the all aerobic organisms. And this photosynthesis which is being carried out by the autotrophic organism, so during which whatever the oxygen that is being released, which will purify the atmosphere, isn't it? Right. Then pollination. See, most of the insects and some of the animals, right, so which are involved in bringing about the pollination process. So in order to have the fruit and seeds, so the flower should have this pollination process, right? In order to get better yield, better product, so pollination is utmost basic requirement. So as most of the insects and animals which are being involved in this process, hence, so insects and other animals, so they bring about the pollination. Then aesthetic value. So see here in India we have so many beautiful natural places like Ooty, Kodaikanal, like this beautiful nature places. Why? It's all because of the presence of beautiful plants, then animals, isn't it? So that provide aesthetic value to the human eyes. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ನೇಚರನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬಹಳನೇ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಬಯೋಸ್ಫಿಯರ್. ದೆನ್ ಎಥಿಕಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್. So ethical values means, so we are considering as these some of the plants and animals as our ancestors. For example, tulsi plant, Ocimum. So scientifically it is called as Ocimum sanctum. So which is being used as one of the goddess. Then cow, which is also considering as the one of the god. Then this cobra, that is a snake. So it is also being considered as one of the god, right? So this is how, so these living organisms that are present in the biosphere also have some ethical values. Just it is an essay type general question, so it doesn't have any specific answer. Just you have to put these headings and just write down a sentence with suitable one or two examples. Okay, so most important question it is, so it may be asked for 3 marks or 5 marks, right? Okay, next, so having this importance of biodiversity, so our next aim is we should conserve our biodiversity. We should conserve whatever the organisms that are present in the biosphere. So that's why in the previous video class, so I have discussed regarding the red data book. So red data book which comprise a list of the endangered, extinct and as well as threatened species list, right? Why? In order to have the awareness among ourselves, so we have to refer that red data book. After referring that red data book, so we have to consider that the protection of the biodiversity is our basic right, right? So let's see what are the different methods of conservation of biodiversity. So mainly we have 2 types of the biodiversity conservation methods. So what is this in situ conservation? In situ conservation and as well as ex situ conservation. What is in situ conservation? So it is the conservation of organisms in their native place or habitat, right? So this is the definition of the in situ conservation. Most important, it will be asked for 1 mark, right? So it is the method of conservation of the organisms that are present in the nature in their native place or in their original habitat. So that method is called in situ conservation. Then what is ex situ conservation? Ex situ conservation refers to conservation of the organisms out of their or other than their native place or habitat. ಸೊ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಜಾಗ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸಿಟಿವ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇವು ಎರಡನ್ನ 1 ಮಾರ್ಕಿಗಾರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ಗಾರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ 1 ಮಾರ್ಕಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರೈಟ್ ದ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್. If they ask for the difference, so your duty is to write what is in situ conservation, then what is ex situ conservation, and under in situ conservation, so what are the examples, and under ex situ conservation, what are the examples, right? Let's see. So the in situ conservation methods. So in situ conservation method refers to conservation of the organisms in their native place. So under which we have 2 methods. One is the hotspots and the another way of conservation in under protected areas. Right? See here, so hotspots means, the last video class alli helide. So already quoted one word, that is what we call it as mega biodiversity center. So mega biodiversity centers are the large areas, so which may cover the entire nation, right? Such a wide area having large number of endemic species, right? So we are having in the similar fashion, we have another type of the areas, so which are small area compared to the mega biodiversity centers. In the entire globe, we are having 12 mega biodiversity centers. Among them, India is also one of the mega biodiversity center because it has rich in biodiversity. Similarly, in the entire globe, so the ecologists have identified nearly about 34 hotspots. So what are these hotspots? These are also the places or the habitat or the regions that are rich in endemic species, that are rich in the biodiversity. So India is having 3 hotspots, right? So they are Western Ghats, then Eastern Himalaya and Indo-Burma. Most important these 3 are. Right? So out of the 34 hotspots which have been identified in the entire globe, India is contributing 3 hotspots, right? So that are rich with the endemic species, Western Ghats, Eastern Himalaya, Indo-Burma. Then, so the another way of conservation, in situ conservation, is protected areas. That means, so the area which is having rich in biodiversity, that area is protected without giving permission to the entry of the human being. See, for example, so nowadays we are observing, if we find any forest where usually these resorts are being constructed. Why? Just in order to have the entertainment for the enjoyment for the human being. Right? So, thereby, whatever the organisms that are present in such protected area, such area, so they will get disturbed and ultimately such species may become extinct. Therefore, the organisms or the biodiversity that is present in an area, so that is protected, right, from the activity of the human beings. So, under this, we have 4 different ways. One is the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, then sacred groves. Right? So, national parks in India, we have 90 national parks. So, where the area is protected against the human activities. So, it is fenced, the entire area is fenced, so which contain so many the different type of the forestry species along with the dominant animal species, wild animal species. So under these national parks, so we are having the national parks that is being situated in Anashi, Bandipur National Park, Bannirghatta National Park, right? So these are the national parks that are found in India. Right? So they are rich in this biodiversity. Then wildlife sanctuaries. In India, we have nearly about 448 wildlife sanctuaries. Compared to this national park, wildlife sanctuaries also the restricted areas. So we have the wildlife sanctuary that is situated in Bharatpur, then Sultanpur and in Periyar. So nearly we have 448 wildlife sanctuaries. Right? Then these biosphere reserves. So in India we have 14 biosphere reserves. So some of them are the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, which is situated in Tamil Nadu. Then the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve, which is found in Uttar Pradesh. Then Sundarban Biosphere Reserve, which is found in West Bengal, right? So all these are the protected areas which are rich in the diversified plants and as well as animals. Then we have another thing, that is what to be called as sacred groves. So what is meant by these sacred groves? So sacred groves is a patch of area, a patch of land when compared to hotspots. Hotspots are wide area, larger area, whereas the sacred groves are the smaller area, say just for example a 5 square kilometer or 10 square kilometer, like such a dimension area, so that is rich with biodiversity. So such area is being protected from the human activities, right? What is the intention? So intention is protection of the biodiversity. So sacred grove is a patch of area rich with biodiversity, and the organisms that are being present in the sacred groves, they are conserved in the name of God or in the name of ancestor. ನಾನು ಆಗಲೇ ಒಂದು ಟರ್ಮ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ. So I told you in the where we call, I told you that is the sacred species ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಥಿಕಲ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಆಗಲೇ, ಇಕಾಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, right? So sacred species or the organisms are conserved, so in the name of God. See here, so sacred groves are the area so that are rich in biodiversity, that organisms that are present in that area is conserved or protected in the name of God or ancestor. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀರ, ಸೊ ಯೂಶಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ತದೋ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರೈಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ರಿಚ್ ಇನ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ. In order to protect that forest or the species that are present in that forest area, so usually temples are constructed or built. Why? Whenever there is a temple, whenever there is a god, so usually the human beings will not destroy that forest area. Similarly, the water body that is nearby the river, usually the temples are constructed. Why? So that river is also having so many the rich biodiversity, that is it is contains so many aquatic plants and as well as animals, right? So this is how the area rich in biodiversity is conserved in the name of God. So it is called as sacred grove. We have some of the examples. So these sacred groves are commonly, or they are called by local names like Devarakadu, Pavitravana, like this, right? So we are having the sacred groves, that is Aravali Hills, which is being situated in Rajasthan, then Western Ghats, that is found in Karnataka, right? So these are the what we call it as the in situ method of conservation of biodiversity. Then if we come to this ex situ method of conservation of the biodiversity, conservation of the organisms out of their native place or their original habitat, right? So under this we have some of the examples. Zoological parks, where the animals that are collected, all right, so from the forest, right? So they are being protected in a protected area, right? So zoological park like zoos, right? Then botanical parks, where so some of the most important endangered or threatened plant species which are having importance, so that are being conserved in botanical gardens. Then wildlife safari, then gametes cryopreservation. See here we are having one of the term. So what is cryopreservation? So it is the technique of the preservation of the living beings or the living cells or the living structures called gametes or the explant material, right, in liquid nitrogen, right, or that technique is called cryopreservation. So in liquid nitrogen the temperature is maintained at 192 degrees Celsius. So under this lowest temperature, so any living cell or any living organism can be preserved as it is, right? The technique is called cryopreservation. Then we have seed bank, then gene bank, right? So these are the different examples for these ex-situ conservation methods. So we have anyhow, so our main duty is to conserve the biodiversity. Our main duty is to conserve, protect the each and every organism that is present in the nature, right? So in order to have this, we have some of the conventions, or we undertook some of the measures in order to protect our biodiversity. So under which, so we have two summits were held. So one is the Earth Summit, which is being held in 1992 at Rio de Janeiro, and the another World Summit of the Sustainable Development, so which is held in 2002 at Johannesburg, right? ಇವನ್ನ ಒನ್ ಮಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೊ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಿ. ಅರ್ತ್ ಸಮಿಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ 1992 ವೇರ್ ರಿಯೋ ಡಿ ಜೆನಿರಿಯೋ, and World Summit of Sustainable Development held during the year 2002 in Johannesburg, right? So this completed your second PU syllabus, right? So ಏನು 16 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೋ ಆ 16 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಈ ಕರೋನಾದ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸೊ CBSE ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಬೋರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದರೆ 5 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ 3 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ನಾನು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ಕವರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಮಾಡದೇ ಇರೋದರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ 2 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಬಂದಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ 2 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮು ಮತ್ತು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ನ ನಾನು ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನೋಡೋಣ, ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ PU ಬೋರ್ಡಿಂದ ಏನು ರೆಸಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತದೋ ಈ 5 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ನಾನು ಏನು ಮೊದಲನೇದು ರೀಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು, ದೆನ್ ಎರಡನೇದು ಎವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಒಂದು, ಮೂರನೇದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜೀಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎನ್ಹ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫುಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್, ನಾಲ್ಕನೇದು ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮು, ಐದನೇದು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್. ಈ 5 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ PU ಬೋರ್ಡ್ನವ್ರು ಏನಾದರೂ ಈ 5 ಜೊತೆ ಮತ್ತಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೇನೋ ನೋಡೋಣಂತೆ. ಸೊ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲಾಗಿ ಏನು ಬಂದಿರ್ತದೋ ಅವಾಗ ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ನಮ್ಮದೇನು ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವಿ ಶಲ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೈನ್ ಸೊ ರಿವೈಸ್ ದಿ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಕ್. ಸೊ ಏನು ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನೋ ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಮೈಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫಾಲೋಡ್ ದಿ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೂ ಏನಾದರೂ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸೊ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮೀ, ರೈಟ್? ಐದರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಬೈ ಪರ್ಸನಲಿ ಬೈ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಕಾಲ್ to my personal number, right? Even you can put your doubts in your Telegram group or in the WhatsApp group, right? So ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಈಗ 7th ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದಿದೆ. 7th ಟೆಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಅಂತಂದರೆ 11th ಮತ್ತು 12th ಬಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ 2 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸು ಕವರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ನಾನು ಮೊದಲಿಂದನೂ ನಾನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ನೋಟನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಏನೇನೇನೇನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೋ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಒಂದು ನೋಟ್ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದು. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ 11, 12 7th ಟೆಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕವರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ 2 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸು ಯಾವುದ್ಯಾವುದು ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಮತ್ತು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ನು. ಸೊ ನೋಡೋಣಂತೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕರೆ, ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಕ್ಕರೆ ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಆ 2 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಟೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಈಗೇನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಮಿಡ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿಡ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ವೋ ಆವಾಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ, 8 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಇನ್ನು ಉಳಿದಂಥ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಸೇರಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಿಡ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ 70 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ನೀವು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರೋ ಇಲ್ಲೋ ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಏನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ 8 ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ವೈಸ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ನೋ, ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನ ಆ ಮಿಡ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಆ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಂಥ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೆ. ಈಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನು 70 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಏನು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ನಡೀತದೋ ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಏನು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವೋ ಆ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರದೇ ಇರುವಂಥ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ಗಳಿದ್ದರೆ ಅವನ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ. ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರ್ತದೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀಟಾಗೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗಿ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಅಪ್ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC ಜರ್ನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.